Washington. From Power 102 Digital.
It is Thursday, 28th March 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service does not have the equipment to do interception that the Strategic Services Agency does. This information disclosed by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley while responding to reports of a spy unit operating within the TTPS. It was revealed that the former Commissioner of Police procured interception equipment. However, the government requested the equipment be removed from within the police service and placed within the SSA. Recent media reports said a spy unit known as the Research and Analytical Unit, RAU, provided the government with information which led to the suspension of SSA Director Major Roger Best. For the past 2 years, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he's had suspicions and concerns of certain activities inside the SSA. He said this is why a police probe is being done into this development. Speaking at the post-cabinet weekly news briefing Wednesday afternoon, as head of the National Security Council, he said the government will be open and transparent about this matter. Dr. Rowley said while discovering now the SSA was heavily armed well before the time, there are legal problems and there are questions to be answered as to how they got those arms and whether those arms were engaged in any criminal conduct. He said, I will not say any more of this. It's a serious matter being handled by the government of TNT. The Prime Minister revealed that he had concerns about the SSA long before the allegations publicly surfaced. Mayaro MP Rushton Parry says he will no longer talk about the UNC's national executive elections in the media and will simply await a date for the polls. He announced his new position yesterday after a blistering attack from UNC frontliners, party leader Kamla Prasad-Bissessar and deputy leader Rudal Monilal in the recent public call for NATEX elections to be called. Parry said, quote, after carefully considering the various statements made by my fellow parliamentarian colleagues, I'm opting not to engage in internal party elections through the media. He's been spotlighted since last Friday when he held a media conference calling on Prasad-Bissessar to announce the date for NATEX elections, which is due in June 2024. Parry's call was supported by Naprium MP Rodney Charles, Kamoto Mantinela MP Rai Ragbir, who also called for leadership polls, and Tabakeet MP Anita Haynes-Allen. Many UNC MPs and senators slammed the four MPs' actions. Head of the Prison Officers Association, Gerard Gordon, hopes officers involved in the March 26 prison brawl are relocated, adding that if he had his way, the Port-au-Prince prison itself would be closed. Gordon said despite some officers nursing lacerations, soft tissue, and tendon damage, they are doing work well and are not back to work. He said officers had not been given any counseling and cited a lack of counseling and psychological support as an ongoing issue. Gordon also identified a list of issues that present challenges for officers at the Port-au-Prince prison, making it difficult for them to function. He reiterated the association's call for the shutdown of the Port-au-Prince jail. Harrier Fuel Trading Company Limited has properly insured for incidents such as the February 25th, 2022 tragedy, which claimed the lives of 4 divers. However, the company is required to take the advice and guidance from its insurance and legal advisors in order to benefit from the coverage. This was one of the updates given by the Prime Minister following Wednesday's meeting held with the families of the divers involved in the tragic incident at the facility owned by Harrier Fuel Trading Company Limited. That meeting was held at Whitehall. In news of the region, Belize's Commissioner of Police Chester Williams welcomed the decision by Governor General Dame Frizola Tislim to declare a state of emergency in Southside Belize City and specific sections of Cayo District. However, he insisted it should not be regarded as an admission of defeat by the police in dealing with the crime situation. It comes amid an upsurge in gang-related activity in those regions. And finally, according to a new United Nations report, the world wasted an estimated 19% of food produced globally in 2022, or about 1.05 billion metric tons. The UN Environmental Programme Food Waste Index report published on Wednesday tracks the progress of countries to halve food waste by the year 2030. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
What's happening? It is Thursday, Holy Thursday, the 28th day of March. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Hope all is well. 23 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 23 at Crown Point. And today, just like for the week, it's going to be a scorcher. All right. Traffic wise, nothing to tell you about. Nothing. Road is very light. I guess a lot of people took today off, but yeah, the road is extremely light this morning. Let's say good morning going out to Super Paul, Dr. Paul Richards.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, pal. You sound very tired this morning.
I am.
You are. Sleep when the night come.
The night is not only for sleeping.
That's all I needed. I leave it like that. I'm not saying
the
anything.
night is not only for sleeping, you know that, right?
Saying anything more. Where's Wendell, Stephen? He's late.
I don't know.
I'm in Richard, I'm sure. Anyway, good morning to you, Paul. It is the long weekend. We've got Good Friday, Spiritual Baptist Shouter Liberation Day on Saturday, of course, and then Easter Monday and so on. So it's a long weekend. Of course, for those that the NLC booths will be closed on Friday and Saturday, tomorrow and Saturday, as it's a religious holiday. Okay? Of course, nobody won Lotto last night, so it rolled over to 2.1 million, just a FYI. But let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning via Facebook and YouTube and on WhatsApp. All right, so good morning to DJ Ray out in Tampa, probably walking the horses. Wendy and James, good morning. Oliver Man Warren, Marcia Rock in Orlando. Wayne B in Covington, Georgia. Ray, haven't heard from you for the week. Hope all is well. Good morning to you, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Hi, Sasha out in London. Rena Voodoo Jennings, Garcelia in Valencia. Boy Bedesi, Carol again. Carol here. That's Carol Guevara. Good morning. John Cato, Josie Richardson, Maria Celia, DL, Ian Andrew Nawalu Lee. You're new. Good morning to you on Facebook. Gloria Gray, it's on YouTube. Mrs. R is up. Trinidad Margot, out in Florida. Pearl Cordes, have a good weekend. Mo Gaines out in Aruca. DPA, good morning. Slick Money Grip, wow, look at messages. Good morning to you. Wayne B, Covington, Georgia. Randy Kelly, Lystra Lodge. Whoa, that's a lot of messages. Dan Raj in Central Sankofa, good morning. I think this is Val. Morning to you, Val. Hope all is well. All right. And you guys have a safe weekend. All right. There's some traffic restrictions on this weekend in the Chaguaramas area on, to be precise, Macarip Road. If you decide to go Macarip, you'll be getting a ticket if you park there. And on the avenue in the vicinity of Colville Street. So take note of that. Shanifa Ali, good morning. So what's going on, Paul? What do you have planned for this long weekend?
Sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to get some. I this entire week, as I hit that pillow, I think I fell asleep before I hit that pillow. But the pet bottle will be open on Saturday and on Monday. Resting tomorrow and Sunday.
I intend to sleep.
You're going for your hot cross buns?
I should get some today.
Yeah. I usually have to order for home, my parents, in-laws. couple of friends. It's a tradition, also a tradition that I love. One of my favorite shows. I've probably seen it a gazillion times. The 10 Commandments. I love that show. I love to watch that show on a Good Friday, but I haven't seen it on Good Friday anywhere. I don't know if the local networks will show it. It's showing on Saturday on ABC at 7 o'clock. But I like to watch that on Good Friday.
They need to update that though.
You know, they could update that movie. I will still watch the original. I don't know what, and I could word it off. I just love that movie. I do. Really do.
It's a sentiment.
Yeah. It's a tradition. I was talking to Nicole Dyer Griffith last evening, and she said, yes, that's her tradition as well. So hopefully the network, I plead with the networks locally to bring it tomorrow sometime. How your mom going? I was asking that yesterday.
She's good. Once she's giving trouble, she's good.
Oh, we're good. You tell her we send all the love in the world.
When she's quiet, she's not good. When she's giving trouble and
that's fine.
Complaining and remonstrating, she's good.
Okay, so there you go. Good morning, GNC Auto Security. Good morning to you. Do you guys do electrical work? I wonder.
So what's happening in the country?
Let's see what's happening in the country. What's the story with Rushton Parry? Is he bowed out?
But he's coming around later. He's coming around later on this morning. His dad is back at home now, so
okay, good.
He and I spoke early this morning.
Okay,
I said, but why I'm not the only among I was up at like 2:33 this morning.
What?
A message me there for. I said, what all are you doing up?
No, my phone goes into I silence notifications from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Super hype. Yeah, I silence my notifications that time. So.
Well, I was up, so I guess once you pick up your phone, there's no up or what? Is that how it works?
I don't. Sorry, say again.
Is it once you pick up your phone, then you up? I guess if you go into any social media,
so you see WhatsApp, it'll say online. I disable that. Yeah, because sometimes when I go online, all of a sudden I get a bunch of messages.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Stay calm. I'm getting some stuff ready.
I thought it was Mary. It's Mary. All right, you get your stuff ready. So, folks, be safe this weekend. You're going camping. Please let the nearest police station know that you're camping, where you're camping, and the amount of people. And please take along a garbage bag. You're going to the river. I know a bunch of you are probably making a river line. Please take your garbage with you when you leave. Let's try and keep TNT clean. All right. Please do that. Good morning going out to Jaron Joseph. Good morning to you.
Right. So
Robinson in Taiwan. Morning, Michael. How's Taiwan this morning? What time is it there? It's like evening time, I'm sure. Yes, Paul.
There's quite a bit of well, the Prime Minister had quite a bit of airtime in the last week. We had conversations with the Prime Minister, Exodus Spaniard, on Tuesday. And he had a press conference yesterday, which was unusual.
Post-cabinet, yes.
I guess they moved up cabinet from Thursday to Wednesday because of the impending holiday. And, he spoke quite a bit about the SSA and that he'd had suspicions about activities within the SSA for about 18 months to 2 years. And that the special branch of the police service brought some concerns to him as the head of the National Security Council, and that he realized at one point the police service, a police commissioner whom he did not name, we could only guess who that is.
Let's see.
Purchased communication of interception equipment, which should not have been, and they were instructed to transfer that equipment to the SSA. But based on what we're hearing inside the SSA now, that's a mess too. So at the conversations, this young lady asked the Prime Minister a very direct question.
Or SSA hit squad?
He's asking if there's a SSA hit squad. To the Prime Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is one question that requires an answer. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to answer that question tonight. But what I can say to you is that we have been engaged in recent times in a deep dive through investigations into the state security machinery. And as of today, there's sufficient information to convince us that some public officials who have had access to government equipment and firearms may have been involved in criminal conduct. I can say no more at this time. The investigations are continuing.
Yeah, good morning, Wendell.
Hi, good morning, guys, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. It's Holy Thursday. It's the day of the Last Supper, isn't it? It is the day of the Last Supper. And of course, tomorrow is the day that they would have crucified Jesus Christ. All right. It's also actually tomorrow is actually also the anniversary of the death of our founder and first premier and first prime minister, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams. Tomorrow is also the anniversary of his death. I don't know that has ever happened. It's the anniversary of his death falling on a Good Friday. I don't know. I'm not sure. But that is also happening tomorrow. So I just decided I'm lying down there and listening to you guys. And I said, you know something? Let me get them a little parang. Because I saw that we may have Russian parade, but I thought I'm reading also an article that says he's not speaking into the media again.
Well, he will speak to us. We are special.
He'll talk. You don't worry about that. He'll talk to us.
All right, so fine. I look forward to hearing from him and ask him why.
He and I spoke at about 3 o'clock this morning, actually.
What?
Zombies, yes.
What you doing talking to Russian pirate 3 o'clock in the morning? I don't want you, I don't really want to tell you,
I spoke to several people at 3 o'clock this morning.
Let me call my people in the SSA and tell them about you and your activities.
Wendell, Stephen, I can assure you, you don't have to tell them about me.
They know about you.
I am being well monitored because guess who called me yesterday?
Oh, gosh.
Pastor Ian Brown called me yesterday.
Hey, what do you say? What do you say?
Mm-hmm.
What you said?
I said, would you like to have a short interview with us again tomorrow? Yeah, no, I'm fearful for my life. If I speak again, I won't survive. I said, why are you saying that? He said, because the things I'm saying, some people don't like.
Well, we know that.
And he kind of, I don't know if he claimed responsibility for it, but he spoke about this alleged unit within the police service, that seemed to be able to, according to some people, intercept people's communication and do their own spying. Not to mention the comments of the Prime Minister in the clip I just played and at his press conference yesterday, which kind of connects the dots in a lot of ways from what we've been hearing regarding the potential that public officials at state security agencies may have been involved in criminal contact. He didn't go so far, the Prime Minister, that is, of saying killing people. But I much suspect that may be part of the consideration.
And the wider investigation down the road.
And part of the wider investigation, which is very, very, very disturbing.
It is very disturbing. But guess what? We're not immune to this, There's history is replete with security agencies, state agencies going rogue. History is replete with it. We have had leaders who have been executed by people who were paid to guard them. That has happened globally. You understand? A man stand up next to you as your security guard and he put a gun to your head and shoots you. That has happened to an international leader of a country before. You understand? So we're not alone in this. And there are several movies that have been made concerning rogue security agencies and what they do and whatnot. We have heard about it on many occasions all over this world. You know? Thankfully, ours didn't reach to the stage where that type of thing happened to a state official. Well, we don't know actually. You know? Thankfully, we don't have that kind of history.
We don't anyway, not see that.
We have had a former
Because
attorney
it may not be. I don't want to add it to this conversation, but we never knew who killed Simon Richardson.
I'm now referring to that. We have had a former attorney general who was murdered, and the guys who was alleged to have murdered him was killed 2 or 3 days later. We have heard that, you know. So, you know, as
Anyway.
I say, we're not immune to this type of behavior, and hopefully it doesn't get to the stage where it affects the running of the state.
One of the reporters yesterday asked a very good question, which is unusual for some of them. Speaking about, given what the Prime Minister said and done regarding Major Best and the SSA and installing retired Brigadier General Anthony Philip Spencer for the audit, and also the subsequent termination, if we are to believe the newspaper reports, about high-level people and other people being terminated. The reporter asked about oversight and what was if the Prime Minister is admitting that for 18 months to 2 years, you understand? He's had suspicions about things going on in the SSA. What was the oversight mechanism in this agency? And yes, the Prime Minister cannot. Well, if at the head of the National Security Council, he could order an investigation. He could ask the commissioner. He could voice his concerns to the commissioner of police, who can decide or not decide to probe further.
Yes.
Right? He can't instruct her, but he could ask. He could convey his or him or whoever it is at the time his instructions, because he says on a weekly basis, and one would imagine that makes sense. The police commissioner would report to the head of the National Security Council, as would the chief of defense staff, as would the head of the Coast Guard. You understand?
Yes.
As would he would also have a meeting with Her Excellency or His Excellency the President, whoever is sitting in the chair at the time. You understand? So there are formal mechanisms whereby the security apparatus in the country reports to the Prime Minister as the head of the National Security Council. And he also said, and makes sense, if information comes to him and the race is concerned, because ultimately he'll be held responsible. He can ask for more information and he could make certain decisions, which is what happened with the SSA. Yes. But the question is, what were the, if any, other oversight mechanisms, including potentially the Minister of National Security? Because they ask about the Minister of National Security for agencies under his purview. And I hope I'm not misquoting here or mixing up the statements that he made, because it was a long press conference. He said any state hires public officials. That's true. The state has, and you will be hired based on hopefully your qualifications and reputation and experience. And within that time, you may qualify. And within that time, you may go rogue.
Yes.
But the issue is, what mechanism is in place to identify if you are going rogue or have gone rogue, so that a lot of damage is not done and the national security apparatus as a whole is not compromised.
Right. So I'm agreeing with all that. And I don't know why Lester Cradwell is saying I'm not making excuses for anybody. Is that what you gathered from what I said? That's not an excuse. The fact of the matter is that it was stopped. You understand?
Wendell.
At what point we can argue? You understand?
Wendell.
Yeah.
If you or I stop to answer everybody in that chat, we talk about nothing else.
True. But I wanted to clear that up, because these things have happened all over the world.
We posted a video of the interview with Pastor Ian Brown. It has gathered over 10,000 views so far, and hundreds of comments.
Yes.
You don't want to go through the comments. you're responding from now till next year.
Nah.
Okay.
Let them enjoy it. As a matter of fact,
Yeah, and that is part of what the great thing about this show is. Everybody can have an opinion, and once I say you could disagree with me vehemently, you could find out talking all these stupidness in the world. Just let's be respectful of each other.
Yeah.
Because if you're disrespectful, you're gonna get blocked.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it is for a prime minister to determine what is best and who he could change or who he can't change. At the end
But
of the
the
day.
question is still valid. What oversight mechanisms are in place to monitor these agencies and the people in charge of them? Because you would imagine that the people in charge are competent enough to identify people under them who may be going rogue, right?
Right.
But what if the head of the agency is gone rogue?
Has gone rogue, yes.
Who monitoring him or her?
Yeah.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Because the head going rogue is more dangerous than the subordinates going rogue. Eh?
Yes. Very true. Very true.
And it seems
we had some rogue heads around.
I ain't said that, this is how he pose.
He paused.
I could say it. I could
You
say
understand?
it.
It's put a head of an intelligence agency on administrative leave and bring in somebody to order the whole blinking market. Just so.
Yeah.
There had to be some deep concerns and subsequent firing.
Yeah.
If we are to believe what is being reported in the media, because Dr. Rowley hasn't confirmed that and the Minister of National Security hasn't confirmed that.
Which is, I told that is why I made a comment the other day, and y'all didn't agree with me, but I'm going to make it again. That this SSA issue, I think it appears to have almost like triggered an election campaign. That's how I saw. That's how I read it.
I think election campaign started before this.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot deeper and a lot more concerning than what we have seen so far on the surface. But only time will tell how it
Yes,
gets.
I actually agree with the first part of your statement.
Somebody dropped the ball. Yeah, we know that.
Somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah, we know that for sure.
Because my information, but I understand his response to that kind of my information is that there have been concerns brought to the Prime Minister about this agency, like information that has been brought about the police service in a previous incarnation with a head. You understand? But I understand also, to be transparent, that is only when evidence, not information, evidence was presented to the National Security Council that the Prime Minister acted very, very swiftly that weekend that we heard about.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ragoobarsingh. Instantaneously appears.
Good morning, guys, and good morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are. Morning, Richie Rich.
You working today, Richie?
I work every day. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Did I laugh out loud there? Did I LOL? Steve and I LOL?
I work every day, including weekends.
And the also disturbing thing that the Prime Minister divulged yesterday is that, and it seems to connect to reports that Pastor Ian Brown returned 4 weapons, and the Prime Minister confirmed that members of the SSA were armed before Cabinet approved them being armed 1.
Yes.
And that they were armed with high-powered weapons.
But remember, I said that yesterday.
So something went drastically wrong inside that SSA. And if the Prime Minister is admitting, or has admitted, sorry, that he had concerns of some things in the SSA over the last 18 months to 2 years, this falls directly under the tenure of Major Roger, what's his name? Best? Best? Not so?
Yes.
So the Prime Minister has admitted that Major Best tenure over the SSA raised significant concerns with him. And if you add all the stuff that the Prime Minister is adding to the equation now, Major Best has some real questions to answer.
Major Best apparently is known to someone who I know very well. And I beg the person, so gosh, ask him to talk to us now. Because apparently he was by the place not too long before I went there. I said, of course, I'm sorry.
Major Best
beg him to talk to us.
Would certainly be advised by anyone representing him legally not to say a word right now. Remember, they have a whole department to tape this show, or you remember that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Three government officials. I was in Parliament JSC yesterday. 3 government officials brought to me clippings of our interview with Philip Alexander. I said, but the cabinet meeting is on this show.
So it's a good thing it was you alone that day.
No, they found it hilarious actually, and quite stunning. So trust me, we're on the radar. Good morning, guys. Everybody. Good morning.
Morning, people.
Morning, everybody.
Have a good day.
Morning, SSC.
Look, Richard go. Just take off his camera.
He take off his camera one time.
Folks, that dark spot underneath there is Richard Ragoobarsingh, right?
As if we don't know what Richard looks like.
Remember his line ministry is the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs. So he had to redact himself from any confusion at Bacchanal.
You know, as we said that, the Attorney General is pretty quiet lately. He's not been in the news for a while.
He was in the news yesterday.
Made presentations in the Senate.
Yeah, he was in the news yesterday.
He was Parliament.
Concerning the Property Act amendment.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
He was in the newspaper. Well, there was a newspaper article about what he had to say.
Head of the Prison Officers Association, Jared Gordon, hopes that officers involved in the March 26th prison brawl are relocated. If he had his way, Port of Spain prison itself would be closed, and I fully agree with him.
Remember, I asked the commissioner
that place, I cannot understand why the state of Trinidad and Tobago still has a prison in the capital that is over 200 years old, not as a prison, but as an edifice. And if you have ever toured that place in 2024 or the modern era of society, it should not be a prison. It is
strangely enough, last week a guy came into Pet Butler, and he's a prisons officer. So I said, so we were chatting, and I said, well, how big are the cells? And he gave me an idea how big are the cells, and he told me like up to 7 people could live in there, sleeping on newspapers. They defecate in a bucket.
And sleeping in newspapers and each other.
And each other. They say they just had to sleep sideways because it's so cramped. He said the cell is nothing bigger than this studio. So
I have been in there on 2 occasions.
And he said they have toilet paper and stuff. I said, what about meals? He said, no, they're very serious at meals. The only thing is that if they decide to make red beans and rice on a Monday, you're going to get red beans and rice in the next 7 days.
That is not true.
That's what he told me. I'm just going what he told me. Yes. And then he said,
I've been there on 2 occasions, and that place they are possibly like a dungeon, really? like slave quarters.
Yeah, he said so.
There are places with little, like, the things you used to see in slave quarters with the little 4-foot high opening for a door.
Yeah.
With bars. They are.
You would have seen them at Elmina Castle in Ghana.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
He said
no lighting, ventilation bars clogged up, and when we toured, they knew we were coming, so they clean up.
The fix up, yes.
It is abhorrent.
Yeah, he said it's inhumane.
That and Guantanamo in the east.
Yeah. He
Okay.
said
Well,
And
the
contrary
maximum
to
security
popular belief,
prison
yes,
isn't as bad in terms of its facilities, but
maximum security prison is new, relatively
yeah,
new.
it's relatively new compared to the others. But that big property that we always talk about, Wendell, that's cordoned off from the highway,
like Golden Grove Road, yeah,
That
that
huge
vines
field.
are growing.
and they have a really good security fence and cameras. They need to build a new prison in that land. And close Port
Your
Spain.
wife is asking how come you're not there, Paul. I'm tempted to answer in a vitriolic manner, but I won't. It's Holy Thursday. If only for the reason it's Holy Thursday. If you're inferring what I think you're inferring by that statement, Mrs. R, because I find if you're inferring what I think you're inferring, that's offensive. Okay? Because someone can voice an opinion on the condition of a prison without having to be told they should be there. It's extremely offensive.
Well, is that what you're referring to there? Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I ain't not saying that.
Well, I hope not, Mrs. R.
It's inappropriate.
I don't know. But if that's what she's inferring, she out of place.
Yeah.
And as your husband, your radio husband, often says, people are innocent until proven guilty. Okay? And that doesn't mean that they have to be housed in inhumane conditions.
Yeah. But going back to that property that Richard raised, I have raised that on many occasions. That is another edifice, another testimony to the rape and pillage that took place between 2010 and 2015. Millions of dollars spent just to put up a fence with cameras and lighting for vines to grow on it in a big open space that nothing has happened. And then, 8 years too of this government, and we just leave it alone? We just leave that space alone?
Now, Trini B makes a good point, which is always a consideration with politicians. And I know this is a big consideration for politicians. When people have no water, they're living below the poverty line, roads are bad, etc. Spending millions and millions on a new prison is not ever a politically expedient thing to do.
True.
So that's a sensible comment, Trini Bree. Unlike Mrs. R.
Don't be on Mrs. R so much, yeah?
Well, Mrs. R needs to not make them kind of offensive statements.
Don't give him
Explain what you meant, I guess. But you know, that issue of spending money on a jail or a new jail, it's a kind of catch-22 situation, because the more you keep people in inhumane conditions, like what it takes place in remand, probably in Port Spain and in Golden Grove to a certain extent, it means the more that you're going to have people psychologically who
Anger at society.
be more and more angry. And they're not being and will be.
And explain what remand means. Explain what remand means for people, Richard.
But remand means you're temporarily there, basically.
You are awaiting trial.
You are awaiting trial.
Or your trial is ongoing.
And it means you are still innocent. Until proven guilty. And so it's not that you went in jail to serve time. You're not convicted. There are many people going to remand and spend time, then are judged not guilty.
Innocent.
And are released, yes.
But Mr.
Ramuka,
explained that yesterday, you know. Yeah, he explained that yesterday.
Well, he took a pack of strippers yesterday too. Going into areas he shouldn't have gone at all.
Who's that?
Mrs. R, when you suggest that I should be in jail, I will get offended. Okay?
Paul, forget that. Now.
When you find I should be in jail or you imply that, I will get offended. Because I ain't do nothing to be in jail. Because I could find you should be there too.
But that issue of building a new jail is something that the state just has to. It may not be politically sexy, because you know the kind of money that you'll have to spend, and it will cost millions of dollars because it's a modern facility. But it's necessary if you're looking at the society moving forward and really being serious about rehabilitation and stuff like that.
Yeah. But when the People's Partnership had proposed it and actually started it, because they started it by putting up the fence. I've never seen that in construction before, right? You hardly ever see that in a construction site, that you put up the security fence first. But that's what they did first. Because it's a double layer fence, eh? It's a fence inside of
it
a
always
fence.
reminds me of Walking Dead. Always reminds me of Walking Dead. When they stayed in the prison system. But remember, I remember over that time I used to be visiting the prison and I used to ask why was that done, and I used to ask prison officers and stuff. I used to be fairly a regular attendee to the prison system, and they told me initially they were planning to close Carrera.
Right, that's what the
and
plan
they were
was.
going to relocate Carrera prisoners, and because they were accustomed to a sort of open, well, they're on an island.
Yes,
they wanted to kind of mimic it on a certain level that would be kind of more
and have
open.
them plant and so
more
on.
open.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons I heard. But
Yes.
they never closed Carrera because prisoners who stay in Carrera don't like to come to Port of Spain for visits and stuff. They can't wait to get back to Carrera. Because they have a little bit more, well, it's a little bit more fresh air, it's a little bit more breezy, it's a little bit more,
Yeah.
I've never visited Carrera. I don't know, Paul, if you visited Carrera. I've never visited Carrera.
No, I never visited. The other issue with inhumane conditions, even if people are of the view that, well, you make and it's true, people who are charged did not get bail and are in prison have met a particular benchmark. But the other issue with prison edifices that are substandard is that prisons officers are working there.
Yeah.
And is it that they do nothing wrong? Well, most of them.
And Richard and well, Paul, but Richard more so. And people in remand who some of them, they would have also been granted bail but couldn't post it.
Yes.
Yeah? So it's not everybody there who didn't get bail.
No.
There are people who got bail but couldn't post it. Not
they just can't meet it.
Yeah.
They just can't meet it.
Yeah.
And Port of Spain is one thing, but where's the prison in Golden Grove? Has parts that are called Guantanamo that equally as bad, Now, the former Minister of National Security, now Minister of Energy, Stuart Young, and they did invest in upgrading some of the facilities, they said, including toilets and bathrooms and stuff like that. But the cells themselves are horrible. And I'm not saying it has to be Hyatt Regency or Hilton,
Yeah.
I'm saying basic human accommodation, basic.
No, but the atmosphere itself for because I've been to both Frederick Street and to Golden Grove. I went actually on both occasions to bail someone out, right? And so I had to actually go in to identify the person that's the person there, right? Even for the prisons officers who work there, that's a depressing atmosphere. The lighting is almost non-existent. The paint is drab. The everything, the iron, everything looks depressing. Even from
you're right. And that is no atmosphere for rehabilitation or restorative justice.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, most people more than 80% of people who go into prison are going to come out one day. Yeah. Do you want them to come out rehabilitated, or do you want them to come out more hardened criminals, more angry with society and do care? That's the question.
Yeah. It is a depressing atmosphere, I have to admit.
It is not depressing, it's inhumane. And Port of Spain prison is a security risk. Remember that a prison break there 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And an officer died.
I don't know how nobody put up yet. Boy, prison is not a hotel or Hilton.
It went up already.
It went up. I miss it.
Make the right fig, remember the former Attorney General said so. Yes. Jail was not made to right fig.
Yeah.
until your family end up in there and you realize what human beings are going through.
Yep.
And people always go to the extreme where they ain't supposed to be hired, they break the law.
Yeah.
We're not saying it's supposed to be hired. We never said that.
But the prison officers, they break the law and they had to be in that.
And they have to work in that filth.
And they had to be in that.
They have to live in that, work in that filth every day and try to manage people who are angry and in some cases, in many cases, prone to criminality and You know,
But
when
influential
they stop,
power.
remember, if there's one thing I hear they don't stop, and I could stand corrected there. You know what they don't stop in prison? Because it's caused confusion.
Weed.
Weed.
I just said that.
Let them block weed from going in there.
Well, you're allowed weed now, not so?
Yeah, but it's how you get to this.
Yeah. All right,
Well,
gentlemen, we need to
so
run
we
into
get
our headlines of our 3 dailies.
Oh, we reach there
And
already?
that will come up in 30 seconds time.
This month, take advantage of Furniture Plus Easter savings. Get any size Sealy Holly Hills firm mattress for just $1,799 and any size full queen or king Sealy Posturepedic Claybrook Eurotop for only $3,999. And that's not all. Get up to 25% off bedding accessories. Hurry down to any Furniture Plus branch and get these doorbuster deals. Check press and social media for details.
All right, 46 and a half minutes after the hour at 6 o'clock. Let's get in the headlines of all 3 dailies.
It's Thursday, the 20th of March.
Richard
Holy
has it.
Thursday.
Richard has people.
Sorry.
Boy.
Sorry, partner, sorry.
So the
Sure,
Trinidad
watch
and
his
Tobago,
smug look on the face. Watch his smug look.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Trinidad
Richard.
and Tobago
Yeah,
Guardian
that is
today,
true.
March 28th, Thursday, March 28, 2024. The main headline in the Guardian: Paris stands down, agrees to stop public calls for internal election, admits backlash from UNC colleagues behind move. Kamala says she's healthy and fit to lead the party.
What?
Mhm.
Okay. Nice.
The main picture is that of what is this?
You can't have
Isabella
this.
Cipriani puts the finishing touch on hot cross buns. As Pop and Stuff Bakery CEO Gregory Lang looks on at the Circular Road San Fernando Bakery yesterday. Hot cross buns, boy.
You know, how you get from somebody. Who it is? Gary Adge.
Gary Adge.
There's
Gary
some
Lapson.
bakery, I think it's in the Samoa area, Paul. Is it some bakery that they always say has good stuff?
Gaffur?
No. Is
The
it
one in
Maria's?
Kirap.
Is it Maria's?
Maria's,
Maria's.
and there's the one in Kirap also on the northern side by the intersection. And
It's
a
a
few
name. What's
doors
the name of
down-
it?
I forget the name. It's St. Mary's Bakery.
Right, St. Mary's.
Yeah,
I
St.
think
Mary's
it's very
Bakery.
popular. They
Very,
say they have
very
good
good stuff. Yeah.
I'll pass there today.
PM again admits disturbing activity at SSA and woman found dead in car on Tobago.
Bizarre
Highway.
story, yeah.
That's a
Brilliant.
related one.
I don't
On
know
the
that
back
story.
page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian today, CWI enjoys record year. Organization sees revenues of US $62.3 million. And
What?
that's it for the front and the back of the Guardian. I'll move on to the Newsday. The Newsday for the day. Front page. 100 children, 55 adults stranded on UK sports trip out in the cold. I didn't hear about this story. Did you all hear about this
No,
story?
what is that about?
Well, the young footballers from the Jean Titan Sports Development Club and their chaperones in Heathrow Airport in England yesterday, on Wednesday, it should be yesterday, the group is asking for public donations to pay for accommodation for over 100 children and 55 adults who visited the UK for the Manchester International Easter Football Cup. So,
But why are they at
obviously-
Heathrow? Heathrow doesn't come to Port of Spain, but to Trinidad.
I'm not too sure what the problem is. I didn't read the article, so I don't know what the problem is.
When
But there's
is
a problem
Heathrow?
because there's a picture of them on the front page of the Newsday. Hopefully they get the funds to address whatever the issue is. PM SSA pastor had police guns. But was he a police officer? I'm not sure.
No, but the high-powered weapons, I think, is what.
Or he wasn't. She's not
everybody
supposed to
knows
have those high-powered weapons.
Yeah.
SSA pastor had police guns. There's a they have the front page of the business daily, which is reboot tourism sector. Reboot. On the back page, Team TT set for Carifta Games. The Gans, Fredericks, Walton in hunt for medals And Lewis and Simmons shine at Big O T10 Blast. That's the front and the back of the Newsday. On to the Daily Express for today. What headline did they go with? I'll tell you. Don't blame Hines. That's the headline. PM does not hold his government or national security minister responsible for SSA scandal. Relative to be charged with kicking boy 2 years old. This is a sub-headline. Woman found dead in burnt car. Tobago mystery. That's also on the front page. And Paria families meet with Rowley. That's the main picture with regard to the Daily Express. And on the back page of the Daily Express today, tenure limit disagreement. Majority CWI directors reject extending president's stint, 3-term limit. And they're making pictures of cricket. Willow Faso is the caption. And Bain is first catch champ. That's it for our 3 dailies.
Do the Catholic news, please. Could you do the Catholic news for us, Richard?
I don't have the Catholic news. I don't know if Steve still gets it.
No, I don't.
The CEO of Mercedes-Benz, his name is Didier Zetchi, has retired after 49 years. You could imagine that package.
Wow.
So good.
Wow.
Yeah, boy. No kidding.
That package.
Well, thankfully, he wasn't in local government, but go ahead.
Steve, get the results of the poll there fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to put it along this one now, and I can't seem to get it.
All right, so the question this morning I'm suggesting, based on our extensive discussion of the Port of Spain prison, should the Port of Spain prison be shut down?
Hmm.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll give you results of our poll from yesterday shortly, as soon as I get it. Again, 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp at 318-1021. Do you think, should the Port of Spain prison be shut down? Yes or no? Really can't get these results. All right. So give us a call. Let me just put it up on WhatsApp so I can see here. Right. A lot of people telling us hello this morning. So we got saying yes. Boy Bedesi, yes. Trini B, yes. Andre, yes. John Cato, yes. Thank you, Scorpion Pepper. Captain Ron, he's in Colorado yesterday. Don't know where he is today. He says yes. Andre Reno says yes. Let's take a call out in Grandy. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. First, let me wish the Power Breakfast crew and its listeners a peaceful weekend. I also want to extend birthday greetings to my son Edwin out in Port Lucie and hope that he enjoy the rest of his life to the rest of his life. My answer to the question is definitely yes.
All right.
Done many years ago.
All right. Thank you.
I wonder if Mr. Gomes ever worked there. We have 2 more votes, Julia S. Batiste and Kenny and Harlan. Both saying yes.
Okay. Thank you, Wendell. We've got GNC Auto Security. Yes. We've got Kenwin. Yes. We've got, let's see. Huda Wells. Yes. Lester Craigwell. Yes. CJ New York. Yes. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down?
That's
yes
our poll this morning to the
no.
talk. What's that?
Right. Yeah. Jaron Joseph says yes. DL. Yes. Josie Richardson. Yes. Royalty Forever. Yes. Anthony Miguel out in New York, where you are going to get a congestion tax of $15 they propose. Yes. To get into Manhattan. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down?
You forgot
in
Sunil.
Chigaguanas says
forgot-
yes.
Yeah. You forgot Sunil Ram Samaru.
Said yes. All right. Scorpion Pepper. Okay. Michael Robinson in Taiwan says yes. Ronald Sardine says yes. Mars versus Venus. Just vote Mars versus Venus, please. Carol Guevara, yes. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans. 866-525-1099. Donna Leeling, yes. I've got who's this here now? Someone else says yes to the poll. And this is Black Pearl. Morning, Black Pearl. Yes. All right, that's on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Scorpion Pepper says yes. Let's see. Marcus Jr. Thomas out in Repo. Morning, Marcus. Yes. Nemesis. Yes. What says you, caller?
Is Nemesis Lincoln?
Trevor in Georgia. Yes.
Trevor in Georgia. Good morning. Thank you so much. Taking the time to
Trevor
answer.
new?
All right.
Never heard Trevor's voice before.
Trevor in Georgia. Georgia.
Yeah.
Let me do this thing. Yes, really, yeah, copyright problem.
Because we have somebody from Covington, right? But that's Wayne, right?
Wayne, yeah. Show and Kerr. Yes to the poll.
All right. Nemesis,
All right.
yes. I thought it was you, Lincoln.
Right. Let's see. Wayne B says yes. Joe Sam says yes. Mathura YC. Yes.
You know what that reminds me of? I saw a little video spoof the other day with this guy who going into these establishments to order stuff, and they would ask his name so that they have to call out the name after them.
Mm-hmm.
He said his first when he went into, he said his name is Mike Oxsmall. So the person when they bring out the order, they'd say, Mike Oxsmall. Then he said his name is Jack Mehoff. And so when they bring the order, they have to call out him. And one of them they said his name is what? Huge Janice.
All right. All right. Let's get back to the poll. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down? Yes.
Right?
Yes, Wendell, behave.
What he says, right?
Trevor Arima.
You know you can't see that for Tuesday, right?
Yes.
God, Wendell.
Yeah.
You know, if I did say that.
I found it so funny.
If I did say that.
All right. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down? Yes or no? You have a couple of seconds again, literally, before the big bad wolf walks in.
You got Ewart Rajpal?
No, not yet. Ewart says yes. Finbar Collins. All right, Finbar. Lester.
Wendell, watchman. They want more Wendell. Give us more Wendell.
Speaking of give us more, morning.
Good morning,
Give us more Wendell.
Go ahead, Zena.
Good morning, Zena.
She's gone.
Another time he said his name is Finn Gummy.
Oh, God, Wendell.
Wendell, Holy Thursday. Keep that in mind.
Holiest time on the Christian calendar.
Lord forgive him. He know not what he does.
The other time he said his name is Isaac Desnuts.
I took a little while to work that one out.
Oh, look that. I watched that video over and over and over again and laugh.
All right.
It was on Facebook. Can people so don't ask me to send it?
Let me give you the results of a poll from yesterday. I got it. Yesterday, we asked you, do you think there was an elite hit squad in the SSA? That was our poll yesterday. 67%. 67. 2/3 of you guys said yes. Let's take this call again before we go into the big bad wolf. Good morning.
Good morning. What happened there a while ago?
We don't know.
Yeah, we know.
Good morning. Sit and busy.
Mhm.
I'll have a happy and holy weekend. I don't think so. It's a word called revamping and renovation.
So you would say yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Zena. Chat in a bit. Got to run into 7 o'clock news. Avril, St. Hill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Prime Minister says he's had suspicions of certain activities in the Strategic Services Agency for the past 2 years. Government reveals the TTPS does not have equipment to do interceptions as the SSA. Mayaro MP Rushton Parry says he will no longer publicly speak about the UNC's national executive elections in the media, and the UNC MPs accused of meeting with PNM financiers. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril St. Hill Bab. Good morning. For the past 2 years, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he's had suspicions and concerns of certain activities in the Strategic Services Agency. He said this is why a police probe is being done into the development. Speaking at the weekly post-cabinet news briefing on Wednesday afternoon at the Whitehall, the head of the National Security Council said the government will be open and transparent in the matter. The Prime Minister revealed the SSA was not supposed to have armored officers until November of last year. This position was approved by the cabinet. However, there could be legal implications if this is not followed.
This investigation is taking place right now at the very highest level, and a pastor appeared from some nondescript church in Arima. And of course, the police had good reason to speak to this pastor. Pastor turns up to be heavily armed with state submachine guns that came from Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Now, these are not things that are supposed to happen. I want to say
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service does not have the equipment to do the interception the Strategic Services Agency does. This information was disclosed by the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, while responding to reports of a spy unit operating within the TTPS. It was revealed the former Commissioner of Police procured interception equipment. However, the government requested the equipment be removed from within the police service and be placed with the SSA. Recent media reports say a spy unit known as the Research and Analytical Unit provided the government with information which led to the suspension of SSA Director Major Roger Best. The Prime Minister revealed the protocols in place in this matter and how it is working.
As chairman of the National Security Council, the police does not have equipment to do the interception that the SSA is supposed to do. The police relies on the SSA to do interceptions, gather information, and if criminal activity is identified and the police should be interested in what the SSA have found, the SSA shares that with the police.
Mayaro MP Rushton Pare says he will no longer publicly speak about the United National Congress national executive elections in the media and will simply await a date for the polls. He announced this position yesterday after blistering attacks from UNC frontliners, party leader Kamala Persad-Bissassa and deputy leader Rudal Munilal on his recent public call for NATAC's elections. Pare's call was supported by Naparima MP Rodney Charles, Komodo Manzanilla MP Rai Ragbir, who also called for leadership polls, and Tabakit MP Anita Haynes Allen. The Mayaro constituency executive and UNC-controlled Mayaro Corporation also distanced themselves from Pare's leadership. There is claim from a senior member of parliament in the opposition that some MPs from within the UNC are holding discussions with the ruling People's National Movement in secret. They are also holding talks with business people who financially support the PNM. The claims come from opposition member of parliament for Oropouche East, Dr. Rudal Munilal. Speaking at a news briefing on Wednesday, Dr. Munilal said the information received is credible. Dr. Munilal said he is of the view these deliberations are being held to destabilize the United National Congress.
We have information, we are told, credible information, that one or two members, MP members of the UNC in the lower house have been having meetings with PNM operatives and businessmen linked to the PNM. And what are these meetings about if not to undermine the UNC? If not to allow the PNM to finance individuals in the parliamentary caucus of the UNC to undermine the very UNC.
He appealed to his UNC colleagues to remain focused, faithful, and clear in their allegiance and rally behind the political party.
There's another colleague who went on the TV, I think last week, the member for a constituency and South, and she didn't know whether she going left or right, couldn't say, you know, they were vague and ambiguous in terms of their presentation and what they stand for. Now is not a time for pussyfooting. Now is a time to be very clear. Now is a time for hard work. Just when we are ahead, the PNM seeks to infiltrate. This is their modus operandi.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Head of the Prisons Officers Association, Jared Gordon, hopes officers involved in the March 26th prison ball are relocated, adding that if he had his way, the Port of Spain prison itself would be closed. Gordon said despite some officers nursing lacerations, soft tissue and tendon damage, they are doing well, but not back at work. He said officers have not been given any counseling and cited a lack of counseling and psychological support as an ongoing issue. He reiterated the association's call for the shutdown of the jail and stressed that the jail needs to be relocated, citing its current location as a safety concern. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly hot and sunny, with the occasional partly cloudy period, with isolated showers favoring Trinidad. Fair night with a chance of the odd shower. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 24 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 26 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the Prime Minister says he's had suspicions of certain activities in the Strategic Services Agency for the past 2 years. Government reveals the TTPS does not have equipment to do interceptions as the SSA. Mayaro MP Rushton Pare says he will no longer publicly speak about the United National Congress national executive elections in the media, and the UNC MPs are accused of meeting with PNM financiers. I'm Avril Sindel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock. Look out for more news in full at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
This month, take advantage of Furniture Plus Easter savings. Get any size Sealy Holly Hills firm mattress for just $1,799 and any size full queen or king Sealy Posturepedic Claybrook Eurotop for only $3,999. And that's not all. Get up to 25% off bedding accessories. Hurry down to any Furniture Plus branch and get these doorbuster deals. Check press and social media for details.
All righty. Thank you, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again come at 8 o'clock on Newsbreak. Quickly, before we get into our guests and our results of our morning poll, traffic-wise, I'm going to save the worst last. Nothing to tell you about in San Fernando. When I can't do that, do I? All right, I have one accident. It's northbound on the Solomon Hochoy Highway. It's just after Couva. All right, so that's causing a little bit of traffic. Apart from that, it's just volume from Santa Rosa to Omera, Trin City to UE volume. Eastern Main Road, not bad at all. Little volume from Barataria, Port of Spain. Nothing out of the west. Roads are nice this morning. All right. Of course, let's get back into the morning poll. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down? All right. So let's see if we have any more votes.
Make sure and put Cheryl Henry's abstention, eh? She make a point.
Antonio Butt says yes. Guy Small, okay.
Make sure and count the abstain. Okay.
Adrian Cotto says yes.
Really, body abstain.
Dan Raj out in Central says yes, yes, yes. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll. Should the Port of Spain prison be shut down? The results are?
All 39 said yes.
You all didn't count the abstain. What's wrong with you all?
I got 43 in Wendell.
You got 43. I will defer to you because I may have missed.
43 people saying yes and one person abstaining.
Very good. We count the abstain. The abstain is valid.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have our guest already online.
I thought, is that Mr. Parry or that's his twin brother? Mr. Parry, morning.
Good morning.
Thanks
Good
for
morning
joining
to you, Mr. Rushton Parry. Hope all is well.
Good morning.
Like you break your silence to the Power Breakfast show, boy. Good morning.
Morning.
Well, the best show on radio, I don't blame you.
Good morning. The Guardian newspaper is reporting this morning that you were not going to make any more statements. You stand down, I think is the quote. Is that accurate or is that not inaccurate? Is that inaccurate?
Well,
sorry.
I'm worrying about stand down from what? You know, whatever the interpretation of what I was said yesterday, it absolutely has nothing to do with standing down. We're in the business of standing up. Every Friday, we go to Parliament and we stand up on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We stand up on matters of importance to the country. And last Friday, I stood up on the behest of a wide cross-section of the membership to raise certain matters that they felt that the leadership of the party was not addressing. And we stood up and we made a call. And in that call, we asked that the internal election be held when it's constitutionally due. That very same evening, the political leader did make a statement that she agrees that the elections will be held when it's constitutionally due. Yesterday, Dr. Munilal raised the matter again, and he too confirmed that the matter will be dealt with when it's constitutionally due. All we want to push further right now is for the election date, the election for the internal election date to be held, to be announced, because I would like to see the widest cross-section of the membership participate. And that is what we're asking for. So this has nothing to do with standing down. I think there was a bit of misinterpretation, and I want to make it clear here today that I am not in the business of standing down, but we will continue to stand up for what we believe is right in the democracy of the party.
Very well said, Mr. Parry. When is the election constitutionally due, though?
It is due in and around between the 24th and the 27th of June. It's, as far as the Constitution goes, the current National Executive Team, their term expires 2 years after the calling of the last election. I think the last election was on and around the 24th of June 2022. So by then, after that, the positions become vacant.
Mm-hmm. And how long before the election is due are they required to announce it?
I think there is a provision for about a minimum of 35 days. Mm-hmm. What we're saying is that because of the importance of this election and that you want the widest participation, I think calling it early letting the membership know, well, look, it is on this date, then you find preparations can be made to get participation from the widest audience, which is good for democracy in the party.
You meant announcing it early then?
That's
not
correct.
calling it early.
That's right. Announce it early so
Right.
the preparations can be made.
Okay. All right.
We
Understood.
spoke to your colleague Anita Haynes earlier on, because some people are suggesting that your call was premature, but I'm paraphrasing what Anita Haynes Allen said to us earlier in the week, that there had been a call seeking to start to deal with the general election before this. Would that be correct?
Well, what we understood, I mean, what was bantered about within the party hierarchy was that there should be no internal elections because of this upcoming general election, which is constitutionally due in August of 2025. And, the Prime Minister has the power to extend that as well for an additional 90 days, which can take you straight until November of 2025. I don't think, and we held the view, many of us held the view, that that is not a sufficient cause to postpone a constitutionally due election in the party system. And that is the point that we held.
Are you surprised by the response to all of this? Because Dr. Munel was quite pointed yesterday.
Nothing in politics and in this life surprises me. We are prepared for those kind of things. I was explaining to someone yesterday evening that, don't confuse my decency as a political weakness. It is really a strength of my character. So I will not engage in mudslinging because, pelting mud is for a carnival juve ban, and I'm not in the business of that. So we will remain focused on the call for the election. I think it's important for the democracy of the party. And, Paul, the thing about working within the constitution of our party and allowing the systems to work, it will speak volumes to the type of government that we will lead when we win the elections in 2025. So it's important we do it the right way.
The way I read it, Mr. Parry, and I think I would have said this, I'm not sure if I said it whilst you were on air, but I know I said it, is that I think, and for Dr. Munilal, it's not surprising because he had some choice words from Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar before. So I don't see why he has a problem if people have a critique now. But it's almost like if they decided that for them to hold on to their office too on their spots, that they are going to support a weak leader. That's how I see her. I see her as a weak leader. You don't have to agree with me, but I see her as a weak leader. And it's almost like if it's a control mechanism. We Russian Parry we mightn't be able to control him, but we could certainly control Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar. So let's keep her there. That's how I see it. You don't have to agree with me.
Well, at the end of the day, we are in the public space. We are in the public place. Every single citizen is entitled to how they see the play at the end of the day. What I can tell you is that my belief is that unless we make a stronger UNC, then we are not going to bring a stronger Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that is what we want. That is what all of us want. We are seeing some deficiencies in our system, in our party structure, in failed organs. And I believe if we strengthen those things, if we strengthen those mechanisms, we will build a stronger party to lift and hold government when we go into 2025.
Well, it's interesting that Wendell made that comment. Just before you go, Richard, Wendell made a comment. Do you think Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar is a weak leader? I'm seeing Larry Lada, Senior Counsel, making a statement. I don't know if he would be comfortable with me putting it up. But do you see Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar as a weak leader?
I think leadership in the party has been weak for some time. Whether it is anybody's fault, I will leave that up to persons who are looking from the outside. When you look at leadership in my organization as the head of my business, unfortunately, when you are in a leadership role, when things go well, you get the commendation, and when it go badly, you get the licks as well. But it is really the team.
And that's a wonderfully politically correct answer. The question is very direct. Do you think Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, has been suggested by many, and some people have a completely different view to that? They think she's a strong leader. Do you think Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar is a weak leader?
I think leadership is weak in our party.
Yeah. Mr. Parry, the issue of the territorialism of politics and, protecting your space and protecting your power, of course, is, replete in human history. You could see it in all kinds of examples around the world today, from Russia, India, Turkey, all manner of countries where that grasp, but you don't have to go far, Venezuela.
Yeah.
And I always wonder in terms of small spaces like Trinidad and Tobago, where obviously that fight for power and that striving for power and keeping off power is also evident. How do you navigate what can sometimes be the ugliness of politics? Because you reference the decency that you have. And there's an ugly side to politics. And how do you navigate that as your own sense of your own moral code and how you move ahead? Because even Basdeo Pandey said politics has a morality of its own. How do you see yourself fitting into all of that?
Well, I would respond by saying, whatever historically has been the past way of doing things, I don't think it has gotten us to the place we ought to be. And trying a different method. Listen, when you stand on the side of truth and honesty in dealing with matters, I don't think you can go wrong. And I'll tell you this, I think our young electorate, they have become fed up of the type of banter that we, and when I say we collectively in the political arena, has offered them over the years. And I would listen to young people in A-level students when I go to, give talks on the economy, on digital transformation and so on. And they will come to the side and say, well, MP, we've lost all hope and courage in politics and parliament. And, they will give you this sense of hopelessness. And I believe, there is room for something else. I think we have destroyed the concept of new politics. I think that is a word that is hated now. But I think if we can have fundamental shifts in the way we do things, in the way how we communicate with the public, in the way how transparency, and I think that is what is really needed. If you notice how this government has operated over the years, everything is in secret. Taxpayers' money are being spent, but everything is in secret. So when you keep this secrecy about things, then general public starts to make comments on their own. Some may be ill-informed, but you are creating an environment of mistrust. And I think that is the things that, as we go forward and you look at making systems more transparent, more open, allowing more voices to be heard, then I think we can have a shift in the way our politics can go. And I think that will be welcomed by our young electorate.
Mr. Parry,
how do you get to that shift?
Richard, just now, Mr. Parry, before Richard continues, I'm going to have to disagree with you in terms of the secrecy of this government. No prime minister has ever exposed himself to the media and the public as this prime minister has done. He has answered every single question. He has made himself available to all media all through the years. So I will have to disagree with you that in terms of the secrecy of this government. We can have other issues, but not secrecy. Right? So go ahead, Richard.
Well, just now, let me just respond to that. I was not referring to the prime minister not being open to the public. I was referring to when you have people asking about the issue of the oil spill off Tobago. While the media, the international media, the local media is providing information for you every day, the government says, well, we don't know. We're not sure. We can't talk. When you are dealing with the issue of dragon gas, what is the arrangement? We don't know. We can't say. That is secret information. That is confidential. All I'm saying is that there are things that must remain under the covers, especially matters of national security. I agree with that fully. But
so it might be confidential as opposed to secret.
That's right? Correct. And that's correct. So those things at the end of the day is what I believe when information comes out in the public space. I mean, we have had the US media telling us what's happening in Caracas. And that is what is building mistrust in politics and politicians. And I believe there has to be some strengthening of those systems going forward in our politics.
No problem. Richard?
Yeah. You talked about that whole kind of shift in terms of the politics. And I mean, yes, and and you would like the politics to improve and be more progressive in terms of moving Trinidad and Tobago forward. But is it that the electorate, and when I say the electorate, the loyal electorate to the UNC and the loyal electorate to the PNM, are they really interested in any change?
I think we have to make them motivated and interested. And I want to hook on the anchor of being motivated. You know, this call that I have made in terms of the internal elections to the party, it is all about getting our party members motivated, whether you agree or you disagree, or whether you like Parry or you like somebody else. It matters not. We have had low voter turnouts for many, many years. And I'm saying that the politics that we practice today, it is not motivating people to, one, have an interest on why it is important to them and have an interest in the outcome. When you have a big section, I mean 400,000, 500,000 people who don't bother to vote, that is a serious issue, because politics takes the garbage out of your home to the dump site. It cleans your toilets at the end of the day. And when you have 500,000 people who are not interested in having a view on that, it means that the system that we have is not working, because we are not sufficiently motivating our electorate to have an interest and be interested in the outcome. And I think...
No, I agree with you with that disillusionment and that kind of apathy to the politics, that everybody's out to, whatever people's opinions are. You could hear it on the ground if you go into any bar in any given day, and you get politics, people with politics rinsing out your ear. Certainly, I get it, even though I try not to engage, because I say I only engage on radio. That's it. I don't feel to talk politics right now. Let me drink my Heineken in peace. But but you do. And you hear people on the ground, you hear what they say. And there's so much disillusionment. But for that kind of change and transformative change and motivating the electorate, are the political elites really interested in that? And I'm contextualizing it in, are they satisfied that the status quo is to their benefit, even if it's 50% or 62% voting in a general election, but it maintains the status quo that may shift back and forth between the two parties, but that's all right. Are they really interested in motivating the rest? I don't know if they are,
Well, I am interested, and I'll tell you why I'm interested. I am interested in seeing Trinidad and Tobago be a modern, digitized society, and I think the problem that we have is the lack of the dissemination of information. I think having a country where you have modernized system, easy access to services. I mean, when you go to do a license renewal, they've made some progress. I can tell you they've made some progress in terms of how it's done today. But 2 years ago, the process of getting a renewal physically took 5 minutes, but you have to wait 3 hours just to get the process done. All of these things is what creates the conversation that, systems don't work, the politicians, they don't care. It's about, self-interest. But I am of the view, and I mean, I'm a kind of what if guy sometimes. What if we were to change it? What if we were to create a different culture, a different language, and doing nothing is not an option? Doing nothing is not an option. And I do believe that we are a resilient country. We have a very highly educated population that I think if we can set things on the right path with the right language, right access to information, and allow people to speak, allow people to air their views on things, I think we could start that change. Is it going to happen overnight? No. It could be 2 or 3 cycles down the road.
There's some who suggest that the questions you raised may have consolidated Mrs. Pasabi's leadership position because of the response to the questions about the NATEX election. What are your views on that? Because, I mean, she's had significant support for her leadership since your comments, with the entire opposition side bench pledging support and more than 12 House MPs, your colleagues, also pledging support for Mrs. Pasabi. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, at the end of the day, I have never raised any questions about Mrs. Pasabi herself. At the end of the day, there is a democratic process of doing things in the party. When we go to the polls, the membership will make that decision. And whether there is 12 voices or 15 voices or 100 voices, the membership has about 80,000 people register to vote, and we must motivate them. And when they come out, they will make the final decision. That is not a call for Parry or Munilal or anybody. The membership of the party, which has the power to decide their leaders, I think that is where the real power lies, not in the.
I know you have to leave us now at 5 minutes. There has been an accusation by Dr. Munilal that PNM financiers have been having conversations with certain people. Have you had conversations with PNM financiers or PNM officials at all?
I don't know what Dr. Munilal is talking about, but it reminds me of our old Western, fella in a bathtub, and you come to and you talk about 99 things, and Eli Wallach pull out the gun and shoot him. When you come to shoot.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you know who you have members of the laws, call it in. Call the PNM financiers. You see this foolishness? We've dealt with that. I was screened twice by the UNC. They agreed. The very same NATEX, where they sit on, said it was foolishness. And for that to be dug up now and create this bacchanal in the party, it's really weak on their part, and it's very, very sad on their part that they are making these types of foolish accusations, which they themselves cleared me twice to run as a candidate for the UNC in Mayaro. So I dismiss that.
I think your problem, Mr. Parry, and I said it before, your problem is that you have cross support in Mayaro. You have even PNM people who say they like you. They may not vote for you, but they like you because of what you do. That's your biggest problem, that you have been accused of helping PNM people. And when I say PNM people, you know what kind of people I mean, eh? You have been accused of doing that, and that is your problem.
I work for every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. I see God in every face, not in every race, and I will continue doing the best for all matters of man as long as I remain the MP. And I've been serving people before that. I mean, I've been in the Lions Club for 30 years. I've been serving people for 30 years in my business, out of my business, in the politics. So, I mean, I don't care, who I serve. The office, the emblem on my office have the coat of arms. So I serve everyone. So if anybody wants to say that there is a sinister reason for serving one person versus the other, well, so be it. But I will continue to serve every single citizen of this country when they come before me.
God bless you, Mr. Parry.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for being with us this morning.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have
Paul.
a safe Easter weekend as well.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
you
Parry.
too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty.
All right, that was Member of Parliament for Mayaro, Rushton Parry. Well, put him to a lie that he's not speaking to the media again, as opined by a newspaper today. So this is another viral program in the making. My God. Let me see how I look in it.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I hear him and I hear the altruism of his politics and how things can get better and stuff like that. But it's a difficult road to navigate in this small space.
It's a nasty road, Richard. Not difficult.
Difficult road.
It's a nasty road for people who
Because
stand up for what's right.
even raising something as practical and as sensible as a constitutionally due election raises hackles that can be interpreted that you want to come for the throne, so to speak.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones had many lessons, but it raises the issue as if you're going for that figurative throne, even though all you've basically said is there needs to be a constitutionally due election.
You're asking for what is right
Before the general election.
Yeah.
Because
the trick they used is that they having general elections this year. The Prime Minister looking to call a snap general election. So we can't do the NATEX because we had to prepare for the general election. Which part of Dr. Rowley history ever showed them that he calls an early election?
Well, the other thing too is that Mr. Parry, well, like very much, is being very diplomatic. When you say the leadership of the party is weak, automatically people direct their attention to the leader. You understand?
Yes.
So not calling the leader's name, but saying the leadership is weak. I mean, come on,
Well,
and
yeah,
leadership
you are going to bring the leader.
You're referencing the leader. You may be referencing, by extension, a team,
a
But
team.
you're
but
referencing the leader.
You are saying the leader. He referenced
you're
his
referencing
own
the leader.
company. And if something happens in the company, the buck will stop with the CEO, the managing director. You understand? So when you say the leadership is weak, even though you avoid saying and commenting on Mrs. Pasabi-Seta herself, how anybody listening to her will say, well, yeah, you're right, talking about Mrs. Pasabi-Seta, but you don't want to say it. You understand? Hence the response in that particular context.
Who are the deputy leaders of the UNC?
Dr.
David Lee's
Rudan
one.
Monilal, Jolene John, and
David Lee.
I think Khadija Amin.
She's a deputy?
I think so.
Yeah, I
So
believe
it's
so.
four, right? Khadija Amin,
Yeah, I
Jolene
think
John,
so. Dr.
Dr.
Rudan
Rudal
Monilal.
Munilal, and David Lee?
Could be
Those are
David
the
Lee as the
four?
whip. Yeah, it could be David Lee as the whip.
Well, that speaks for itself.
What does it say?
What does it say?
There's three people who are members of parliament who hold key seats, and one is a senator who as Gary say she could bring home the East-West corridor without Gary. So there's people who beholden to you. I'm surprised that David Naked and Anil Roberts taking the position of supporting a weak leader, because they always talk about strength and all the integrity and what's right and what's wrong, and they blindly following a weak leadership. I'm
You don't bite the
surprised.
hand that feeding you, Wendell.
Huh?
You don't bite the hand that feeding
Well,
you.
Rushton Parry considers it weak leadership. I don't think David Naked or Anil Roberts ever said there was weak leadership. Rushton Parry has said that the leadership is weak.
So you're saying David Naked and Anil Roberts satisfied with that leadership they have there in the UNC?
Well, I can't answer for them, but we could ask them. But I assume so.
Until they say otherwise.
Until they say otherwise. I haven't said otherwise.
Two talk. Two.
It's Holy Week, people. You know. I know. Normally we would do the Archbishop and we would do a Baptist, somebody from the Baptist faith and so on, because all of those holidays coming up in the next few days. But it's hard talk today. Stiff talk.
This is not. You're not yourself for who this is.
I don't know what going on.
You know, he's ready to go back.
Wendell.
Ready to go back to his names. You know, by the time he says stiff talk, he's ready to go back into his names that he was calling earlier on how to put your name by Starbucks or whatever when they call out your name.
Yes. I don't know.
Starbucks is how to put it.
Anyway,
Starbucks is how to put it. Yeah.
all right, let's grab a couple of calls by the time. We're waiting on guest number 2. I'm trying to reach him. I didn't reach him yet. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Udmehu was on another frequency, and he didn't share that view that Mr. Parry shared with you all day.
Which
He's
view
saying,
is that?
pardon me?
Which view is that?
That Mr. Parry stand down from that position.
Oh.
He's saying that he stands down from that. That is not his position anymore. What they're going to see about now is the general election, the SSA and all of that kind of thing. He stands down from that position. And Mr. Wendell, when you told Mr. Parry that he helping PNM people, and you know what kind of people you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What that means?
I'm sure you are a very intelligent man.
Right. Now listen to me. Yes, I am very intelligent. But here why I ask you that. There's a reason that we just always be afraid to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And on the UNC side, they don't be afraid to say that at all. That's why I ask you that. We just always be afraid to come out and say that. I don't know for what reason. And when they're speaking, they talk that fluent. They don't mind how it look, how it. That is why I ask you that.
Well, I'm not like a UNC person at all.
And lastly, I'm not saying so, but I tell you what I noticed.
I understand what you're saying.
When they're speaking, watch me, they don't care how it look, how it is, but when okay, let me say a little something here. I want to go too far. An African person, when they're talking about unity, they always tell you, let us live together. Come, let us live as one. Nobody from other ethnic groups say that.
Well,
Only
guess what? The African person, if the African person is
I'm
saying
not sure that
the
is true.
African person is absolutely correct.
I am not sure that is a true statement.
All right. Thank.
But that is and lastly before I go, people that are looking a lot of something in Parliament, people that when it's time to vote and they say they abstain, those are people who generally agree with the other side, but they don't want to disrupt the leader. So they abstain. That is what I've noticed.
You are an agent provocateur this morning. Behave yourself.
Thank you, caller.
Abstaining could be for any reason. Abstaining could be for any reason.
The leader.
All right. Thank you.
You are an agent provocateur. That's what you are.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hello? Yes, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. It was certainly refreshing to hear Mr. Parry's contribution. It was so good to hear politicians speak and answer a question directly and not take you all around the mulberry bush and skim over an answer. It was such a refreshing thing to hear. I want to thank you all for that interview, Paul. I don't know if you got the question. I typed that question long before you asked it. I don't know if you got it from my text. But I want to thank you for asking that question. It brought some clarity. You didn't stick and bob and weave around the question. You answered the question directly. Good interview, gentlemen. I thank you very much.
Take care.
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning.
I abstain.
I didn't realize, sure.
We got lots of calls, Solomon. All my lines are lit up.
I didn't realize she was provoking him.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
No, it is so strange that the leader of the opposition is labeling Rushton Parry a PNM and he's spying and whatever. How come she didn't have that thought when he came over from the PNM and he went up as a UNC candidate and won the seat? Imagine that. So I was so shocked last night to see her. And I saw she wearing slave outfit. I couldn't believe it when I see the woman dressed in the full works, boy. She gave me the whole blinking market yesterday.
Why are you calling it a slave outfit?
But that is where she tell Camille. Camille have a slave name, so I shocked to see she putting on clothes that represent. I said, wait a minute. No. Anyway, let's move on. I want to say something concerning the meeting with the Prime Minister and the divers. I am so glad Dr. Rowley told the family of the divers, go and see if you all could talk to your lawyers and see if you all could get them to speak to LMCS, because they are exonerating LMCS from this whole thing. They work, if I was working TSTT and I fall off a ladder as a technician, let's say I go in one of them bank, I wouldn't name no bank, and I fall off, and I did not have on, because they give them steel boots. I know what I'm talking about, because it's close to me. And you fall off the ladder, and you didn't have on the people boots that they assign you to. You're gone with sneakers on. You think you could sue the bank? No. And the company ain't paying you one damn cent. You know why? They tired talk to you about wearing sneakers. Sneakers on top ladder is a no-no. So you can't get no compensation. Time they hear the first thing they ask, he had on sneakers now. And when they hear that, not a damn cent. So, LMCS, thank you, Dr. Rowley, for directing them to LMCS. He could have gone on and give them diverse work at Paria.
All right.
Right? Very good. Dr. Rowley, have a wonderful Easter weekend and a well-deserved weekend, a holiday with your beautiful wife. Have a good one, Dr. Rowley.
All right. Thank you, Deep Pot. Paul, our guest is waiting.
I'm seeing no guest, Steve Khan.
He just called and said he's in the waiting room.
Would you like
He
me
has
to
to enter the
intervene?
studio. A lot of people forget to press that box down below. Enter the studio.
A blanket selling all these days, boy.
Yeah. Look now, we on the move, you know. We on the, don't provoke that behemoth, you know.
It seems that the world is going through a period of authoritarianism in terms of so many things. You know, it's.
Who's that? Hey.
All right. So let's say good morning, good night to the gentleman that never did get that pickup from Wendell. He's in some other vehicle now that he really needs a pickup.
Boy, he get
A kick for you, my friend. Angus Eve.
He get a lot more from me, yes, than a pickup.
Angus, is that true?
Hello, good morning. I'm not hearing you all well. I don't know why.
Volume up. There you go. Should be getting us nice, loud, and quite clear this time. You hearing us now?
Yeah, much better. Good morning, gentlemen.
Angus, tell them you get a lot more than me than a pickup. Tell them.
Before we get into the balance, I just want to send out, good to be on your show again. And I also want to send out condolences to Jumbo and his family. One of the best 12 man in all of Trinidad and Tobago sport. It doesn't matter which sport it is. He's always been there for all of us. And he always tells you as it is. And you can respect that. So condolence going out to him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jumbo's funeral is today.
Is it? Is it today? Is his funeral?
It's the third.
Third, next week, Wednesday.
Okay. All right. And it's being held down at the Cocorit, the court in Cocorit. Yeah, I have it somewhere. I'll read it late before the program is over.
So the national senior team went down 2-0 to Canada. What's your assessment of how the team performed in that day?
Yeah, we have to take everything that we do into perspective. And the national team is in a process. We have been rebuilding the team since I took over in 2021. The team, if you look at the team now, it's a lot different than it was before. There's a lot of youngsters in the team, 19 and 20-year-old players, young Denzel in the goal, and all of them performed creditably well. There was a newspaper that said I was satisfied. I wasn't satisfied. Nobody's satisfied with a loss. We wanted to win the match. Unfortunately, we played a team that was filled with a lot of international players who are Real Madrid is after, and players who playing in top teams. We just don't have that caliber of players at this point in time. But to put on the performance that we did, I thought that we should have scored in the first 15 minutes, and the game would have been a lot different than it was. And for us to be in the game and play as we did with the kids that we're playing with, I think we're on the right path in our progression to progress the team.
What is the biggest challenge you as the coach you're facing right now with this young team as you described them?
Sorry, say again?
What is the biggest challenge you as the coach that you're facing right now with this young team as you've described them?
Support, really. And what does support mean? The guys we have guys living behind the bridge. We have guys living Carenage and Mova and these areas. And you know what those areas mean. You're a senator also, and I'm sure you know what those areas mean. And Real Gil almost could have been in the shooting because a lot of his friends got shot in the incident on the harp the other day. So I spoke about that. He probably could have been one of the kids in that area. And the biggest challenge is to get them to believe in themselves. Because I do think that we have the ability albeit that we players are not playing on the world scene. I still think that we have the gems, we have the ability, but they need to believe, and we have to bring that psychological part of the game into them. We have looked at hiring a psychologist. After the game, we thought that we need that missing element to give them that sense of belief from a clinical.
Well, I'm surprised that the team doesn't have access to a performance coach like a psychologist like Dr. Hippolyte already.
Yeah, Paul, and you're right, and it's you'll be surprised how much we don't have, and how much we're not working with. But I want it on board. We need it on board, but unfortunately, financial restraints causes us to put whatever little resources into a different area that we know that we need to boost up. We need technology. We need. I can tell you openly, Jamaica helped us a lot because me and the Jamaican coach have a really good understanding. Us a lot with some of the video work that we would have done, the game analysis, because we just don't have the facilities that we need to have.
And what is the ministry's? Have you made representations to the Ministry of Sport in this regard? Because this is a national senior football team.
I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to get any politics of it. I have not had any communication with the ministry regarding those sort of support. I have made, because my immediate bosses are the TTFA, so I've made the recommendations to the TTFA. Have they gone there? I don't know. I can't tell you that. So I can't comment on that.
Angus, one of the players after the game, I think it was Garcia, who stood up in the dressing room and took responsibility for that game against Canada. What are your thoughts about his comments in terms of taking responsibility?
In professional sports, people do that. Levi's playing at the highest level. We didn't agree with it. If you heard, he was saying, no, I want to say what I have to say. He felt that the team played really well, and in his opinion, he felt that he let down the team because he had some glaring chances to score in the game. I told him there's a video that will be out with I saying to him that it's not your fault, it's a collective. And okay, so he didn't have his goal scoring boots on in that particular match, but there are mistakes that other people may make in other matches that may cost us the game. If we go along blaming one person for a loss, it's never really one person's fault, because there were other guys who got opportunities in the game too. So I would not single out any one of my players. I always hold my hand up because at the end of the day, I'm the coach of the team. But he it's commendable that he felt that he should have done it. But I don't think it was necessary because we are a team.
Yeah.
Angus, I know FIFA World Cup is in 2026, and I think Trinidad and Tobago, you could correct me if I'm wrong, is slotted in Group B. I think with Costa Rica, who may be the strongest opponent in Group B. You may advise on that. Because I think it's St. Kitts, Grenada, Bahamas. I can't remember exactly. But I think we're in Group B, and matches are supposed to begin between June 2024 to June 2025. How are you feeling about our qualifying chances to move forward in the CONCACAF region for World Cup 2026?
Well, you're spot on. You actually called out the group, the full group of teams. We feel good about it, that first phase. But yes, Costa Rica would be the highest ranked team. But teams like Grenada have been playing in the A. Remember, we've now been promoted to the A most recently. Grenada has a lot of players who, in world football, you can no longer study the name of a team, but you need to look at the personnel that the people have on the pitch. And Grenada has a lot of English-based players with the grandparents' law that we don't have, and that we've been fighting for, because we have players that we can get if we get the grandfather's law or the grandparent law, as it were. In Bahamas and St. Kitts, in the last World Cup campaign, they kicked us out in the first round. St. Kitts won the group. They also have players who play in Europe and stuff like that. So it's not as easy as people may make it seem, because long time when we had professionals, because of a certain JW, now other teams and other territories are getting the same support from their people. And our football has been in so much of a disarray off the field that it affects the actions on the field, because we're not united off the field. And I think that we have a really good chance. I'm not being pessimistic at all. I think that we can come out of the group once we play to our standards. And then after we come out of this first group, there's another group. And I think we could definitely push. It's not easy, but we need the facilities, the technology, the personnel on board, and that will take funding, because Angasiva alone cannot qualify Trinidad to a World Cup. We need support. We need the technology, so that we have a guy from England who does our video analysis and our performance analysis. He's extremely good, but it's extremely expensive. So we could only bring him in camps. So we can't bring him on full time, because we just don't have the funding to do so. But we need him on full time.
Angus, explain that issue of the grandparent law. I've never heard it before.
Well, you should know, because you've been in government for a long time. But anyway, what happens is that what happens is that Wendell, what happens is that if you are my child and I have a grandfather, but your grandfather was born in Trinidad, but he lived abroad. I was born abroad, and then you were born abroad. You can't play for Trinidad. You can't get citizenship.
Oh,
it's easy for a Venezuelan to get a migrant card and being able to work than a Trinidadian getting the opportunity to be a Trinidadian.
Okay. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that at all.
Okay,
but that's what I come on this show for, always to educate.
You tell him.
Angus, are you back in Trinidad as yet?
Yes, I'm in the country. I've been at your offices a couple of days, but you have been there, so probably that's why you don't know.
You know,
he wasted time in government and you're not in the office too.
You're always on vacation, Angus.
Apparently he's on vacation from Wednesday to Sunday.
5-day weekends.
Angus, as we close, what are your final words to the population? Because from what you're explaining, most people don't understand that in addition to talent and dedication on the field of play, it takes a lot to get a team to World Cup or to any significant competition in the world and be consistently performing.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ivan. And I parked up at the side of the road, so I apologize. I went to the groceries. But I didn't hear the last question, Paul.
I said, it takes a lot more than talented players and dedication on the field to succeed consistently in football. Do you think the public understands that?
It's a resounding no. I don't think they understand what it takes to be an international athlete. You saw the hockey team, they reached just there and they lost. I'm sure the hockey coach will tell you how much more facilities, how much more. If there's a problem for us to get a training ground, Manny Ramjan doesn't have lights. Arima don't have lights. The pitch is bad. The stadium, we can't use it because it's carnival or the outside field in stadium. We can't use it because it have a tribe fed. There's a lot of challenges in Trinidad for us to continue to try to develop the young talent that we have. And I said before, most of them come from really porous type areas where their level of motivation and their drive, it's easy for them to go in to do something else. We need because sport is always a vehicle. Me myself, I came from Carenage and I'm national team coach now. And that's a feat for somebody like me coming from a area like that. And we can have more of me. We can have more of the Levi's. We can have more of the Dwight Yorks and more of the Russell Attapis if we invest properly in sport. I don't think that we have a proper sport policy in Trinidad and Tobago. We do things at ad hoc, I would call it, because we Jareem Richards, he failed, he didn't qualify the other day for the finals, and I could go on and on and on because we just not organized as we should be with a proper sporting policy to take a youngster from one place and bring him to that elite level that we could continue to make Trinidad and Tobago proud. People only support the team when the team is winning, and they don't analyze why are we losing matches or why are we not at the same level with X or Y, because we have been spoiled in this country to have Miss Worlds and people who can compete at a high level individually, but as a team collectively it takes a lot more than that. The Navy SEALs only have teams of 8 because they said it's so difficult to manage more than 8 people at the same time. In a team, I have to manage, or any coach, I have to manage more than 40 something people, which is staff and players.
Yeah. Angus, that actually was very well said just now, because you know the struggles, and I myself and the family will have to face it, because we have a youngster who was going to represent Trinidad and Tobago in the Carifta Games this weekend in Grenada. So the struggle is real.
Yeah, if you listen, if you hear a lot of excuse me, a lot of athletes, my voice still ain't good from the game. If you look at a lot of athletes, they can tell you the same struggles. We have people here who have good voices. I know that I think a UNC minister brought the bill to the table, the question in Parliament of the grandparents' law. So hopefully we could get that sorted out, and hopefully we could probably influence the ministry from your guys' levels to get more support for the team, because Angus Eve cannot. I'm not naive to think I alone and what we doing alone could qualify the team. I talk to Stephen Hart, I talk to Dennis Lawrence all the time to
Yeah, I think we
lost him.
I think he had internet problems there. But Paul, that is something probably you can raise. I didn't know about it before, that grandparent law.
I knew about it. And your government ain't sure about it.
But I clearly didn't. I'm brutally honest.
It's come up already in the parliament. And I guess, yes, I could probably bring it up again to see what the status quo is on it, because it will give a great advantage to people who may not have been born here, but who may be co-opted into the team because of it allowed under our law.
The roots.
Yeah. Angus was alluding to a UNC person bringing it up. He said Minister Barbes. I guess he means Senator. Would that have been David Naked or Anil Roberts?
I don't know.
Because I would imagine both of them would have had an interest in that. But David Naked represented the country in football, and Anil Roberts was a Minister of Sport.
I don't know. I can't say.
Anyway,
you'll have a great weekend.
8 o'clock, so this is where we wrap up the
Happy
weekend. Yeah, this is where we wrap it up. And of course, it's Easter weekend. It's also Spiritual Baptist
Liberation
weekend. Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day is that on Saturday? Saturday.
Yeah.
On Saturday. So of course, best wishes to the Spiritual Baptist community, and of course to Christians across Trinidad and Tobago, and particularly Catholics, because we are the majority. And
we?
of course, yes, we are the majority in the country in terms
I'm glad
of
you said we.
denomination.
I'm just glad you said
yes,
we.
are.
Right.
And we have the most schools too. So put that in your pipe and smoke it all day, okay? And we have. I can't say that.
You and your wife.
I'm gonna shut up now.
All right.
Of course, Christian. This is the most important day on the Christian calendar. This weekend, it's when Jesus Christ rose again to save
Then he would have had to die first.
to save humanity from sin and death, and he is destined to come again. So get your house in order. Some people say he coming soon, but they're saying that for centuries now. So soon is relative. But it is the most important time in the Christian calendar, not Christmas. Christmas is the most probably celebrated, but it's the most important time in the Christian calendar from a spiritual point of view. So behave yourselves and remember Easter Sundays when Christ is rising from the dead, figuratively, as we celebrate the spirituality of Christianity this weekend. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Just reminding you, by the way, Love is a Walk. Tickets are out at outlets today from 1 p.m. and tickets are on sale at Queen's Hall from Tuesday next week after all of the Easter weekend back. All right. So Love is a Walk. Get your tickets at all the outlets. They are available at outlets today from 1 p.m. You should not miss this play. Have a great one. And I'm going to try and
happy Holy Easter weekend, everyone. Happy spiritual shout about
Take another one.
Folks, have a happy and Holy Easter. Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day. We're in the middle of Ramadan too. Oh, Trinidad and Tobago is a special place. Anyway, just be careful and I'll see you all next week sometime. Bye-bye.
All right.